Hey brothers, Rob here. This is episode 2 of IGL 101, and I'm going to go over how to become a leader in the team. And I think this is kind of one of the most difficult parts in an IGL. Like newer IGL recently asked me like how to gain respect, and I think it's an interesting question because um, it's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and it's not the easiest thing to gain as an IGL and to hold. I think as well over a long period of time because it's a difficult role, and that what you do for the team isn't always shown to people outside of the team, especially, right? I mean, you go look at my league stats. None of them are good, right? And yet at the same time, I've garnered a lot of respect from players and people that have played with me because of how I lead the team, because of what I do for the team, and how I play my role. So I'm going to go over kind of the ways that I think um, some tips that would be helpful for IGLs that are starting out, especially in like you're open. I am like, you're new to the role. You don't really know what you're doing, and you have a new team. I think is the where this is the most critical of people that you don't already know. Um, and so I think the first big thing is confidence. You need to have confidence in your call. Like you may not have confidence in your calls, right? You may be new to the role and you don't know what you're doing. You're learning and you're trying to get better. But the way that you say things to your team needs to be said with confidence. If we're sitting in spawn here and it's in like mid round and you go, I think we should go fast B. As a player, when you hear your IGL go, I think, or I think this will work, right? Some sayings like that, that isn't confidence. And then when you do go fast B, your players already in their head are thinking about other things they could be doing, whether this is the right call or not. By the second that something goes wrong, like when we get to this point, they're not thinking about trying to like piece together the round. Like especially if we lose this round, they're thinking my IGL isn't confident. Like why'd they call that? That was stupid, right? Whereas if you are sitting in spawn and you go, we're rushing B, let's go, and then you like review what's going on, tell everyone what's going on, and maybe you like remind the player they always forget something and what to do in a nice way, like, hey, remember to do this, and they're like, okay, yeah, I got it, right? And to keep it upbeat and to have that confidence to say, yeah, this is gonna work, guys, we're gonna go do this. If it doesn't work, you may not even know if it's gonna work, right? Maybe you don't have a solid read on the other team and you're like, I have no idea if fast B is gonna work, but I gotta give them something, right? Or maybe you say, hey, let's just do our default and let's start playing. But to in spawn, always like be trying to have a plan, but when you say it with confidence. And I think that leads well into the next thing, which is self-control. If things go wrong, you need to be able to clear your head, clear your mind, and like think about what needs to be like talked about now and what you don't necessarily need to like yell at your players, right? I think like especially in an official, we really don't need to be spending that time fixing mistakes unless it's like an adjustment to how they're playing. If they're playing a certain way and one of our players is maybe like they keep swinging Palace on A over here, right? So we need to make an adjustment to our A hold. That's like an adjustment we can make in game. But if maybe let's say like one of our players is like missing a smoke when we go onto a site, your adjustment should not be yelling at that player and asking him why he's missing like the smoke. It should be either, if you want to keep running that strat, just swapping him with another person without saying anything about the fact that the smoke's missing, or like just not rolling with that strategy for a bit, right? If it like goes just terribly wrong and it's not what you did in practice, just write it off, right? And don't get upset about it in the moment, because we're trying to keep the confidence up and the keep our players confident in what we're doing and what you've come up with and what you're running. Because the second that you start getting upset, maybe we like miss the stair smoke and it's just landing here, and then when we have like two guys swing Palace, they're just getting ripped on our A hit, right? probably just either have someone else throw the stare smoke because that's an easy thing to do, or if like a guy doesn't remember something, swap with them. The next thing is understanding your players, right? And this is kind of like leading with that, where if we are going to get upset at a player and we're going to try to fix an issue, different people respond to criticism differently, and how you say it can also change like their mindset and their attitude, right? Some players like you just like bluntly saying, hey, what the hell was that? Fix that, right? And they're like, shit, yeah, you're right, And some players can totally take that, and as long as I don't think we're doing it like too much, that's not really like a big deal. But if you have a player that's like newer to their role or they're trying to learn, right? It should be more of a conversation, or like if maybe like they keep going out A, right? Like the other team's coming out A and they're killing their A site players, right? And your A site players you can pick apart. It shouldn't be yelling at your A site players and saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" right? And then like moving one of them off of there and putting a different player on, because that's just gonna like fuck with their psyche, right? They're like, shit, I just suck at playing like the game, right? Instead, we should be asking and wondering, okay, what are the T's doing when they come out, right? How are they? And maybe some rounds, like your guy's sitting here on A, and he just gets, just blasted. It's a good shot by the other team. He just dies, right? Maybe you got a guy who's crossing connector, and he just gets headshot by a guy with like a deagle ramp. And then there's only one guy in A, and they just flood out into A. They take the bomb site, pick up the 2 guns, they win the round. That's not something that you as an IGL and as the leader of the team need to get upset at the team with, right? You can just go, well, that was a bummer. Let's move on to the next one, right? Keep the confidence up, keep everyone happy and going, and don't dwell on these little mistakes, right? Those are things that we could fix. Maybe we say, look, if you have talk to your con guy after the game. Say, if you have a bad spawn, let's just follow the opper through the rat hole, and then get to con that way. Because we don't want you getting picked when you cross. And then that's an adjustment that we make after the game, not during it when this happens, right? The next thing is like, we need to lead the development of the team and not be the development, right? We should be creating conversation, like what I'm talking about, where we're saying, instead of you telling players how to play and telling players like, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, this is how you're gonna play, this is what you're gonna do. I think that's like pretty bad, because a lot of people have different play styles, and forcing them into a thing, like I really don't like someone sitting in like the back of my head, right, or in my head, right, just saying, hey, like you're gonna come out mid, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna fight this window guy this round. I hate taking this fight early, right? I only like taking the fight if I've got like a top mid smoke or if I've got a window smoke out, and then I'm fine with taking the fight. But I don't like someone telling me exactly like how I should be doing it. And so instead we should be, if we're fixing a problem or if we're adjusting to something, we should be asking and talking with our players about what, maybe they think their ideas, because we're a team, and so we need to be learning and developing as one. But if we're the IGL that's sitting there looking at our player that's got like 5 kills and everyone has 15, we shouldn't be yelling at them, telling them exactly how to play. We should be asking them, yo, what's going on? What's going wrong? Do you feel uncomfortable? Like, do you need something else? This is like pretty common on like a spot, like a pretty critical role like Cat, right? Cat's like really tough like position to play if you're like a CT side player holding Cat, where there's a lot of things that can happen and like picking your fights and everything, and maybe you need like flashes from the A site to help fight, right? Or like, your A anchor, right? Same thing. A anchors can normally get left out alone without any help because the con guy's committed to mid. And this can be a guy that's normally just playing like one and dones and isn't going to see a lot of kills, and so and maybe he's feeling like alone and he needs more help, right? And that's something that we can fix and work with to build the team, instead of saying, hey, you suck at holding A, we're going to play someone else at A instead of you. And now we're changing up the entire team's like psychic, and we're messing with all these things that we've already like spent time on. So like, I think the biggest thing as a leader, just being a positive like voice within the team, and trying to understand when you should say like to critique. And I think the most important thing is telling your players when they're doing something good as well. I think the biggest thing that people really fail to do when we're teaching and when we're molding people to do anything, right? You can almost kind of think of it like parenting, right? Your kids, when you have your 4 players on your team, right? Your like dad would like fucking cheer you on when you were doing good at like a soccer game. You might have been like sucking, right? Or maybe like you did one good thing, but other than that, you're pretty terrible. But when you did something good, they were like, yes, good, keep that up, right? That's kind of stuff. Like if your A player here has a great hold on A, he gets a 3K, be like, hey, nice job, good stuff, keep that up, right? Instead of the only times when you're talking with your players is when they do something bad, because then it just becomes like a toxic environment where you're not leading the development of the team. You're just trying to fix the issues and like patch it up. So yeah, I think that's like a real critical part of being an IGL that a lot of people fail to understand, especially when we're working in teams where we don't see each other face to face. We can't see the person behind the voice on Discord and understand like what they're feeling, what they're thinking. All we get is just a voice, and we really don't necessarily always know the person. I'm really like blessed to be able to know all my players in real life and be able to hang out with them, and they're all my friends, which I think like heightens our team play and my ability to lead them. But if you're playing on like an open team where you really don't know everyone on the team, it's really critical for you to stay as this positive voice within the team and to be working and developing with your players and building the chemistry and the teamwork so that you guys can get better. So I hope that kind of helps you answer that question of how do we gain respect as an in-game leader, and how do we then lead the team to improve and do better over the course of our season or the life that we have as a roster.